The Nightly Business Report.
Good evening. Tonight, central bank governor attributes slow reserve growth to high debt repayments and delayed capital inflows. Private sector supports government initiatives to boost domestic milk production. Sri Lanka stock indices ASPI and S&P SL20 record modest gains amid positive market sentiment. And US stocks slip as uncertain economic data raises doubts over timing of Federal Reserve rate cuts.
From Studio 24C, here's Jenna Newman.
Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's slow foreign reserve growth is mainly due to external debt and swap repayments, says Central Bank Governor Nandalal Veerasinghe. Despite strong dollar purchases, reserve accumulation remains limited amid delayed capital inflows and ongoing debt servicing.
Sri Lanka's sluggish foreign reserve growth is primarily due to debt repayment obligations and swap settlements, according to Central Bank Governor Nandalal Veerasinghe. Despite the central bank being a strong net buyer of US dollars, the country's reserves have only increased marginally from $6.1 billion to $6.2 billion in the first 8 months of the year. Debt service payments include interest and principal repayments to institutions like the Asian Development Bank, World Bank, and the Reserve Bank of India. Additionally, the government has repaid short-term trade credit borrowed from India during the 2022 crisis. Delays in capital investment projects and inflows from international partners such as the IMF have further slowed reserve accumulation.
Sri Lanka's exporters have urged the government to delay the removal of the special value-added tax scheme, citing concerns over cash flow and the current lack of reliable digital refund systems. Exporters warn that the scrapping SVAT from the 1st of October will force them to pay VAT upfront on local inputs and wait for slow refunds, which could tie up capital and increase borrowing costs. They argue that the Inland Revenue Department should target those responsible for tax leakages rather than imposing collective punishment on all exporters. Concerns were raised over the lack of a pilot project for the new system and the doubts about the readiness of e-invoicing and digital platforms. Exporters estimate the move could lock 25 to 50 billion rupees monthly in government accounts, damaging sectors like tea, apparel, and agriculture. Some analysts view RCEP as a potential shield against US tariffs, though its trade provisions are seen as a less stringent compared to other regional agreements. The Ministry of Agriculture and Veterinary Resources highlighted efforts to boost domestic milk production and improve animal breeding at the Ceylon Samba Conference in Nawam District.
At the Ceylon Samba Conference in Nawam District, the Minister of Agriculture and Veterinary Resources emphasized the importance of developing domestic milk production and improving animal breeding systems. The National Veterinary Development Council is focused on increasing breeding activities with allocated funding to support these efforts. The minister highlighted the critical need for sufficient animal feed, particularly grass and corn, to support livestock health. Currently, the country produces only 3 lakh metric tons of corn annually, which is just 40% of the required 6 lakh metric tons. The ministry is actively working to boost feed production to meet this shortfall.
Hong Kong, Sri Lanka, Chile, and Bangladesh are seeking to join the China-backed Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, the world's largest trade bloc, according to the Southeast Asian officials. The current RCEP membership includes China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and all 10 ASEAN countries. Officials meeting during an ASEAN Trade Summit in Malaysia expressed support for the new applicants and aim to include them in the bloc. Indonesia's Vice Minister of Trade confirmed backing for the countries willing to join RCEP. Malaysia's Trade Minister said a final decision on new members will be made at the RCEP leaders meeting in October, when an upgrade to the trade deal is also expected. Some analysts view RCEP as a potential shield against US tariffs, though its trade provisions are seen as less stringent compared to other regional agreements. Let's take a short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sri Lanka's stock market closed higher today with both the ASPI and S&P SL20 record gains. Investor sentiment remained positive amid moderate trading activity. For further insights on this, we have Salama Sanoon from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Jenna. The Colombo Stock Exchange concluded its 9th consecutive day of gains with trading activity showing a similar trend to the previous session. The all-share price index registered a gain of around 78 points and wrapped up for the week at 21,599. The index remained within the green zone. However, intraday fluctuations were observed, highlighting the volatility present today. The top positive contributors to the index were Dialog Axiata, Hemas Holdings, Ceylon Grain Elevators, Sunshine Holdings and Kalani Cables. Participation from both retail and high net worth investors slowed down compared to yesterday. However, the retail segment stood out, contributing more to today's activity. Turnover for the day was around 6.6 billion rupees, and this reflects a decrease of 16% compared to the monthly average that stands at around 7.1 billion rupees. The capital goods sector took the lead in terms of sector-wise contribution to turnover with a share of 22%, followed by the food, beverage and tobacco sector and the banking sector, which produced a combined contribution of 36%. The top 3 price gainers for the day were SMB Finance Non-Voting, Mercantile Shipping Company and SMB Finance Voting, whereas the top 3 price losers were Senkaragala Finance, Mahavali Coconut Plantations and Standard Capital PLC. Thank you.
Sri Lanka's stock market saw mixed performance this week, influenced by economic data and investor sentiment. Trading activity remained moderate amid ongoing concerns over interest rates and fiscal developments. For further insights on this, we have Shahana Kanagaratnam from First Capital Holdings.
Thank you, Jenna. The Bourse opened the week on a positive note and maintained its upward trajectory throughout the week. Market activity remained robust, fueled by strong participation from both retail and high net worth investors, with daily turnover averaging around Rs 6 to 7 billion for the week. On Wednesday, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka announced its decision to maintain the overnight policy rate at the current level of 7.75%. With this visibility, the market continued its momentum and crossed the 21,500 mark on Thursday and gained further momentum to end the week stronger at 21,598. From a sectoral standpoint, investor interest was especially strong in the banking, capital goods and diversified financial sectors. Thank you.
Gold prices moved little in Asian trade today, steadying after a recent tumble from record highs as fresh tariff measures in the US kept traders largely biased to its safe havens. Spot gold was flat at $3,749.30 an ounce, while gold futures rose 0.2% to $3,778.90 an ounce. Spot prices hit a record high of $3,791.11 an ounce this week. Gold steadied today after US President Donald Trump announced a slow-off tariff trades, mostly notable a 100% tariff on pharmaceutical imports. Broader metal prices were a mixed bag. Spot platinum rose 0.9% to $1,541.85 an ounce, while spot silver fell 0.7% to $44.87 an ounce. Among industrial metals, benchmark copper futures on the London Metal Exchange were flat at $10,000, 258 cents a ton, while COMEX copper futures fell 0.2% to $4,000, 787 cents a pound. Oil prices extended gains in Asian trade today, holding above a 7-week high and set for a strong weekly rise as concerns over Russian supply disruptions and a surprise drop in the US crude inventories tightened the oil market outlook. Brent oil futures expiring in November rose 0.3% to $69.63 per barrel, while West Texas Intermediate crude futures gained 0.4% to $65.25 per barrel. Both benchmarks remain at their highest since early August and was set to jump over 4% this week. Supply risks have been amplified by Ukraine drone strikes on Russian energy facilities. Washington and its allies are also weighing fresh sanctions on Moscow, adding to concerns that Russian crude and diesel exports could shrink further. The Sri Lankan rupee remained steady against the US dollar at commercial banks in Sri Lanka today. Then compared to yesterday, the buying rate of the dollar remains unchanged at 299 rupees and 25 cents, while also the selling rate is also unchanged at 304 rupees and 75 cents. Let's take a closer look on how the Sri Lankan rupee has performed against other major global currencies. Short break now. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Sampath Bank has led a 33.5 billion rupee syndicated loan for the Ceylon Electricity Board, joined by the Nations Trust Bank and Pan Asia Bank. The facility aims to support CEB's debt restructuring and ensure uninterrupted power supply.
Sampath Bank has successfully arranged a 33.5 billion rupee syndicate loan for the Ceylon Electricity Board in collaboration with Nations Trust Bank and Pan Asia Bank. The funding is intended to support CEB's debt restructuring efforts and meet its operational needs. Sampath Bank described the transaction as a landmark deal that will help ease financial pressure on the state utility. The initiative also aims to ensure an uninterrupted electricity supply across Sri Lanka. The bank emphasized that the loan reflects the collective strength of the local banking sector in supporting key national institutions. It also highlighted Sampath Bank's commitment to sustainable growth and long-term economic development.
Dynamo Private Limited, Sri Lanka's leading homegrown quick service restaurant chain, has launched its latest venture, Dynamo Go, focused on speed, accessibility and affordability. The initiative aims to integrate Dynamo's trusted brand into everyday lifestyles across the country. As part of its expansion, the company acquired International Restaurant System Private Limited, gaining control of 14 prime restaurant locations previously held by an international finance. This strategic move strengthens Dynamo's nationwide presence and customer reach. Founders said Dynamo Go represents a new chapter combining the brand's heritage with greater speed and convenience. With the milestone, Dynamo further solidifies its leadership in Sri Lanka's QSR sector while continuing its legacy of innovation and customer trust. Water's Edge has reported record-breaking revenue and strong growth under new chairman Chathura Krishantha Pereira's leadership. The hospitality group saw its highest ever monthly earnings in August 2025 and is pursuing expansion with new facilities and sustainability initiatives.
Water's Edge, a leading Sri Lankan hospitality group, reported record monthly revenue in August 2025, with restaurant earnings reaching 110.3 million rupees. Longbar and Pranzo both posted their highest ever monthly sales, contributing 15.7 million rupees and 22.4 million rupees respectively. The banquet sales division secured future bookings between 180 million rupees and 200 million rupees, exceeding previous targets. Under chairman Chathura Krishantha Pereira, the group also opened a new 48-room eco-friendly hotel, expanding its capacity. Water's Edge recorded a net profit of over 50 million rupees in August, driven by operational efficiency and growth in food, beverage and banquet services. The company aims to achieve 3 billion rupees in annual revenue by year-end, focusing on sustainable development and high-quality service.
Union Assurance has launched Flex Life, an innovative and customizable life insurance solution designed to meet diverse customer needs at every life stage. The plan offers flexible payment options, allowing customers to tailor coverage for retirement, financial protection, investments, education, and healthcare. Policyholders can choose how to receive maturity payouts, either as a lump sum or monthly annuity, and benefit from loyalty bonuses, top-ups, and partial withdrawals. FlexLife also includes comprehensive protection with optional covers for hospitalization and critical illnesses. Union Assurance emphasizes innovation and customer control, aiming to bridge Sri Lanka's protection gap with the flexible product. Customers also gain access to value-added services through the company's ClickLife app, featuring fitness tracking, rewards, discounts, and convenient payment plans. Hilton Colombo is set to host its 32nd annual Oktoberfest from the 6th of November to the 15th of November, celebrating Bavarian culture with authentic food, drinks, and entertainment. The festival promises lively music, traditional games, and special discounts, making it a much-anticipated event in Colombo's social calendar.
Hilton Colombo is hosting Oktoberfest for the 32nd consecutive year from November 6 to the 15th, 2025 at its Sports Center Arena. The festival features authentic Bavarian cuisine and live entertainment, including the Oompa Band from Germany. The event has become a popular highlight in Colombo, attracting both locals and international visitors. Ticket prices range from 7,588 rupees to 10,888 rupees. Discounts available for Sampath Bank credit card holders. Hilton's area general manager Manish Fernando emphasized the festival's role in bringing people together to celebrate Bavarian culture and hospitality.
Let's take a short commercial break. Global business updates coming on the other side. This is the Nightly Business Report. Welcome back to the Nightly Business Report. Most Asian stocks fell today, with pharmaceutical stocks leading losses after US President Donald Trump imposed steep import tariffs on the sector, while declines in technology shares also weighed. South Korea's Kospi was the worst performer in Asia today, sliding 2.1%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index shed 0.8%. China's Shanghai Shenzhen CSI 300 and Shanghai Composite Index fell between 0.3% and 0.5%. Japan's Nikkei 225 and Topix indexes rose 0.1% and 0.6% respectively. Although bigger gains were held back by losses in tech and pharma, broad Asian stocks were largely muted. Australia's ASX 200 rose 0.1%, while Singapore's Straits Times Index also fell by 0.3%. India's Nifty 50 Index fell 0.4%, extending steep losses from earlier this week. US stocks declined, with the Dow, S&P 500 and Nasdaq all closing lower amid economic uncertainty, affecting Federal Reserve rate cut expectations.
U.S. stocks ended lower on Thursday, with the Dow dropping nearly 0.4% and the S&P 500 and Nasdaq each losing 0.5%. While most of the S&P 500 sectors ended lower, stocks on the move Thursday included CarMax, which spiraled 20% after the used car retailer reported lower second-quarter profit. Shares of Accenture dropped more than 2.5%, despite the consulting firm reporting revenue above expectations. And shares of Costco slipped even after the discount retailer beat fourth-quarter revenue and profit estimates. Investors are braced for Friday's release of the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, the Fed's preferred inflation measure, which could shape expectations for the path of interest rates.
Swedish fashion group H&M reported a sustainably bigger rise than expected in third-quarter profit as shoppers took to autumn styles, but warned of higher tariff-related costs in the current quarter.
Swedish fashion group H&M reported on Thursday a substantially bigger rise than expected in third-quarter profit. It said shoppers had taken to autumn styles, but it also warned of higher tariff-related costs in the current quarter. The world's second largest listed apparel retailer predicted the cost of tariffs on imports would have a bigger impact on gross margin in the 3 months through November. H&M is trying to boost profitability and attract shoppers through trendier clothes. It wants to compete with Shein and Inditex's Zara. Following 2 consecutive fiscal quarters of falling earnings, June to August operating profit was $523 million. H&M said it expected local currency sales in September to be flat compared with a high year-ago figure. The firm's shares rose over 9% in morning trade.
That wraps up today's Nightly Business Report. We value your opinion. Share your thoughts and feedback with us through email at feedback.ad24english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. We will see you again next week with the latest updates in the business globe. Vinod Varnasuriya will meet you next with other Derana Sports Central. Until then, I'm Jenna Newman. Thank you for watching and have a great weekend.